the Edmund Fitzgerald. For nearly 50 years, her twisted hull has rested in the darkness of Lake Superior. And still, 3 questions about her final minutes refuse to die. What really tore the Fitzgerald apart so suddenly? Why was there never a single distress call? And what was happening on deck in those last moments before she vanished from radar? In 2024, a new remote-operated vehicle returned to the wreck with high-definition cameras, lasers, and survey gear, capturing details no expedition has ever recorded before. What it saw may finally bring us closer than ever to answering those 3 questions. The mission's objective was clear: deploy advanced remotely operated vehicle technology to create the most detailed 3-dimensional map of the wreck site ever attempted. This was not just another survey. The team used laser scanners capable of measuring millimeter-level deformations in the steel and high-definition cameras that could see through the near-total darkness 530 feet down. Their first task was to compare this new view with the historical records from 1994 and 1976 surveys. The initial impressions were startling. While the wreck's basic silhouette was familiar, the level of detail revealed structural anomalies on the bow and midship sections that previous expeditions had simply missed. The clarity was unprecedented, showing the condition of the deck and hatch covers with a forensic sharpness that immediately began to challenge long-held theories. For decades, the debate has centered on a few key possibilities: a massive rogue wave, often called the Three Sisters wave, a structural failure from metal fatigue, or catastrophic damage from taking on water through compromised vents, or from bottoming out on the 6-fathom shoal earlier in the storm. The 2024 data were collected to test each one of these theories against the physical evidence. The high-resolution footage allowed naval architects to analyze the hull's catastrophic failure points in a way that was previously impossible. They could now distinguish between damage caused by a single catastrophic external force and the telltale signs of progressive metal fatigue. The laser measurements provided precise data on hull deformation, offering a new way to re-examine the rogue wave theory. And a thorough inspection of the keel gave fresh insight into the grounding theory. This new gaze into the abyss didn't just add more information. It provided a clearer lens through which to view the ship's final, violent moments. The technology captured the wreck not as a static museum piece, but as a dynamic crime scene, frozen in time at the instant of its destruction. Every scar on the steel, every twisted beam, now tells a more complete story. The new footage provides the clearest evidence yet to distinguish between the competing theories that have divided experts for half a century. The question was never if the ship sank, but what specific sequence of structural failures happened first. The laser scans reveal 2 critical pieces of evidence that point toward a specific trigger. First, the detailed mapping of the bow section shows massive inward compression on the starboard side. The steel isn't just bent. It is folded and buckled in a way that indicates an immense, sudden force hit the ship from the side and slightly forward. This deformation pattern is inconsistent with the gradual stress of metal fatigue or the focused impact of grounding on a shoal. It is a textbook signature of a rogue Three Sisters wave sequence striking the vessel with catastrophic force. Second, the remotely operated vehicle inspection of the keel and bottom plating near the midship section provided the definitive evidence against the 6-fathom shoal theory. While the ship did report minor damage after passing over the shoal earlier that day, the new survey shows no evidence of a rupture severe enough to doom the vessel hours later. The scrapes are superficial. The fatal damage is located higher up on the hull. This combination of evidence points to a specific sequence, a series of colossal rogue waves building on the already ferocious storm slammed into the Fitzgerald. One wave, larger than the others, struck the forward third of the ship with enough force to buckle the deck and hull plating. This initial breach, likely around the deck vents or hatch covers, started a fatal chain reaction. Water flooded into the cargo hold. As the ship slowed and settled lower into the water, it became a target for the next wave. Data from 2024 suggests it was this second or third impact that delivered the killing blow, overwhelming the compromised structure and sending the Fitzgerald on her final plunge to the bottom. The ship did not just sink. She was beaten apart by the lake. This brings us to the second haunting question. Why no distress call? Captain McSorley radioed, "We are holding our own." Minutes later, the ship was gone. The 2024 dive offers a stark answer by revealing the likely fate of the ship's power and communication systems. The survey by the remotely operated vehicle of the deckhouse and antenna array shows devastating damage. The entire structure is crushed and shredded. The most telling detail is the location of the main antenna, torn from its mountings and now missing, likely carried away by the same wave that destroyed the bridge. This was not a gradual failure. It was instantaneous. A wave of that magnitude would not just damage equipment, it would sweep away everything on deck in a single violent impact. The timeline reconstructed from the wreck's condition is terrifyingly short. The new analysis suggests the final sinking sequence took mere minutes, perhaps even less than 60 seconds. Once the hull was critically breached, the weight of the taconite ore cargo would have acted like an anchor, pulling the stern section under with incredible speed. The bow, still buoyant for a few moments longer, would have lifted skyward before following it down. This evidence paints the picture of a catastrophic, systems-wide failure. The wave that crushed the deckhouse also likely flooded the engine room through damaged vents or hatches, shorting out the generators. With no power, the radios went dead. With the antenna gone, even a battery-powered emergency set would have been useless. The crew in the deckhouse may have been killed or incapacitated by the initial impact. Those below deck, fighting rising water in the dark, would have had no means to call for help, and likely no understanding of just how little time they had left. They were not refusing to call for help. The means to do so were torn from their hands in an instant, leaving them in a dark, sinking tomb with no way to signal the world above. The new footage reveals the deck's final state. The hatch covers show no signs of being intentionally secured or battened down, and many are twisted or missing, suggesting they were torn away by wave impact rather than left open. This supports the theory that a massive wave swept the deck, crushing vents and allowing water to flood the cargo holds instantly. The lifeboat davits are stowed. There is no evidence of deployment attempts. This suggests the end was too sudden for any organized abandonment. The crew was likely fighting a losing battle below decks, or were caught by the wave that destroyed the superstructure. The violence was overwhelming and immediate. The answers now: interlock. A rogue wave breached the hatches. This sudden flooding crippled the ship and destroyed its communications in one blow. The crew had no time to react. Evidence from 2024 strongly points to this sequence, moving theories of a single catastrophic event from speculation toward the most plausible narrative. While some details remain speculative, the core mysteries of the trigger and the silence are resolved by the physical evidence. Modern technology has provided the closest thing to a witness statement from the wreck itself, turning competing theories into a coherent story of a ship defeated by a perfect storm of violent forces. The 2024 dive provides the most definitive account of the Fitzgerald's loss. The wreck's enduring mystery is a lesson in the power of nature and the courage of those who sail the lakes. This final chapter honors the 29 men by understanding their fate.